Manasvi from Soham Edu World, and students, welcome back to your online lecture series of class 10. Students, we are studying the third chapter of science 1, that is chemical reactions and equations. In last lecture we have studied about physical changes and chemical changes. What are the differences between physical and chemical changes, yes or no? Then we have seen chemical reaction means what are the reactants, what are the products, yes or no? I hope that part is very much clear to you. Now in today's lecture we'll see chemical equation means what and how to write the chemical equations. What are the conventions to write the chemical equation? That part we have to study in this lecture. Okay, so let's get started. So see students, chemical equation means what? The representation of a chemical reaction in a condensed form. Condensed means short. Okay, using chemical formulae is called as the chemical equation. Listen it again. The representation of a chemical reaction means by seeing that representation you will understand what are the reactants and what are the products. Okay, so what is happening in that process, that idea you will get. Okay, so the representation of a chemical reaction in a condensed form using chemical formulae, and that condensed form is what? It is about chemical formulas that are condensed, means in short you are going to use their symbols, okay, or molecular formulas, is called as the chemical equation. So definition is clear to you. Now here see, one example is given, CuSO4. Now CuSO4 means what? Cu is the symbol of copper, SO4 means sulfate. So this is what? This is a copper sulfate solution. Okay, Zn means zinc. So copper sulfate reacts with zinc. Do you getting it? Copper, instead of writing copper sulfate and zinc, what I have written here? CuSO4 plus zinc. CuSO4 is the molecular formula of this compound. Copper sulfate plus zinc. What will you get? ZnSO4. Zn means zinc, again SO4 means sulfate. So zinc sulfate plus copper. Cu means copper. So this is the reaction. When copper sulfate reacts with zinc, you will get the zinc sulfate plus copper. Are you getting me, students? So instead of writing this, I have written in the chemical formulas, yes or no? So this representation is called chemical equation. Okay, and you have already studied this arrow mark, right side of arrow marks, reactants are present. Reactant means those who react or those who take part in chemical reaction. So CuSO4 and Zn are here reactants, and ZnSO4 and Cu are here products. Okay, is this thing is clear to you? So chemical equation means what? This part is understood. So on page number 32 the description is given, this reaction is given. Okay, what they said, colorless solution of zinc sulfate ZnSO4, this is colorless, okay, is formed on addition of zinc dust to the blue solution of copper sulfate. So solution of copper sulfate is blue and colorless solution of zinc sulfate is formed. So this chemical reaction can be written in brief as follows: aqueous solution of copper sulfate. Now aqueous solution of copper sulfate means what? It is mixed with liquid. Okay, that is what? That form is aqueous solution. Then zinc dust gives you aqueous solution of zinc sulfate plus copper. This is the word form of equation. Okay, this is called what? Word equation. So a word equation can be written in further condensed form using chemical formulae. Okay, and that representation is like this: CuSO4 plus Zn gives out ZnSO4 plus Cu. Okay, so the representation of chemical reaction in a condensed form using chemical formula is called as the chemical equation. Is this thing is clear to you? So in the above equation, copper sulfate means CuSO4 and zinc are the reactants. They react with each other to form copper particles and solution of the colorless zinc sulfate as the products, having totally different properties. So you have already studied in chemical reaction, properties of compounds are changed permanently, yes or no? The ionic bond in the reaction CuSO4 breaks and the ionic bond in the product ZnSO4 is formed during the reaction. So understand this, okay? Now we have to see some conventions which we have to follow while writing a chemical equations. Some examples are given. We'll refer it when the reference will come, okay? So see, first reaction given is CuSO4 plus Zn gives out ZnSO4 plus Cu as previous, okay? So first you have to understand the reactants are always written on the left hand side, whereas the products are on the right hand side of the chemical equation. This is the first rule that we have to remember. So here CuSO4 and Zn are the reactants. These reactants reacts with each other and will give us product as ZnSO4 and Cu, okay? So this part is clear to you. Same for this. Here only one reactant is there, but here is one condition that we'll see later. Here also see two reactants are there which reacts with each other and then the product will form. So first rule is clear to you. The reactants are always written on the left hand side, whereas the products are on the right hand side of the chemical equation. Then an arrow, this arrow heading towards the products is drawn in between the reactants and products. You have to remember this. The arrow is drawn in between reactants and products. Reactants are always on left side of the arrow and products are always on right hand side of the arrow mark, okay? Now third, if there are two or more reactants or products, see here is only one reactant, but here two reactants are there, here two reactants are there, two products are there, two products, yes or no? So if there are two or more reactants or products, they are written with plus sign, okay? What is the third rule? If there are two or more reactants or products, they are written with plus sign in between them. Is this thing is clear to you? Now next, the physical states of the reactants and products are often mentioned in the chemical equation to make it more informative. For example, here see AQ means what? Aqueous solution. It is what AQ means? Aqueous solution. Spelling is AQUEOUS. Aqueous solution means what? It is mixed in water, okay? S for solid, okay? L for liquid, G for gas, okay? So the gaseous, liquid and solid states are symbolized as G, L and S respectively, like this in bracket, G, L, S. G for gas, L for liquid, S for solid, okay? This thing is clear to you. The reactants or products are present in aqueous solution state, means in the form of solution in water, are indicated with AQ, okay? Like this. So fourth rule is clear to you. Now if the product is in gaseous state, now see here, CO2 means carbon dioxide gas. If this is on product side, yes or no? Carbon dioxide is on product side. So if the product is in gaseous state, then it can be indicated using an arrow pointing upward, okay? And if the product is an insoluble solid, insoluble solid means precipitate. What is precipitate? Okay, an insoluble solid, means in Marathi we call it as saka, okay, precipitate, which is not soluble in that solution. So it is indicated with downward arrow. You have to remember this. If gas is the product, then you have to show it with upward arrow. If precipitate is formed, then you have to show it with downward arrow. Fifth rule is clear to you. Then when heat is to be given from outside, now see the second reaction. When heat is to be given from outside to bring about a reaction, a sign of triangle is written above the arrow that indicates the direction of the reaction. Means when heat is, means in this reaction, see, CaCO3 means calcium carbonate is heated, okay. When heat is given from outside to the reactant, then the symbol is like this, triangle on arrow, means heat is given to the reactants. You have to understand this thing. So CaCO3, under the condition of heat, product will be CaO, calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide, okay. Is this thing is clear to you? And carbon dioxide is gas, so it is shown with upward arrow. Now when heat is released, this is about what? When heat is given to the reactants. When heat is released, then you have to write that in product side, okay. So when heat is released during a reaction, the term heat is written along with the product. So see this reaction here, heat is released or evolved from the reaction, so you have to write it in product side with plus sign, okay. So this much part is clear to you. We have seen up till now 6 rules. First is what? Reactants are always written on the left hand side, whereas the products are on the right hand side, okay. Then an arrow heading towards the product is drawn in between the reactants and products. Then if there are 2 or more reactants or products, they are written with a plus sign in between them, okay. Then the physical states of the reactants are mentioned in the chemical equations, like G for gas, L for liquid, S for solid, and EQ for aqueous, okay. Then if the product is in gaseous state, then it can be indicated using upward arrow, and if precipitate means insoluble solid is there, then it is indicated with downward arrow, okay. Then when heat is to be given from outside to bring the reaction, then sign of triangle is written above the arrow, and when heat is released during a reaction, the term heat is written along with the products, okay. This much part is clear to you now. Now 7th rule is certain conditions of temperature, pressure, catalyst, etc. are mentioned on the arrow pointing from reactants to products, okay. So see this reaction, vegetable oil, liquid form H2, gas form, reacts under the condition of 60 degree Celsius temperature, and nickel catalyst will form vanaspati ghee, okay. So here conditions are written on the arrow, okay. 60 degree Celsius and nickel catalyst, means here catalyst is used, okay, and temperature is 60 degree Celsius, okay. Is this thing is clear to you? So certain conditions of temperature, pressure, catalyst, etc. are mentioned on the arrow pointing from reactants to products. Then sometimes special information or names of reactants or products are written below their formula. So if concentrated, dilute, this thing, they are written below their formula, okay. So this rule also you have to remember. Sometimes special information or names of reactants or products are written below their formula, okay. So copper, see this example, copper on reaction with concentrated nitric acid, HNO3 means nitric acid, and how it is concentrated, it is not dilute. Concentrated means the amount of acid is more than the liquid, okay. it will form CuNO3 twice, means copper nitrate, and then nitrogen dioxide gas. Okay, so likewise the reactions can be written. And then if the number of atoms of each element is not the same on the two sides, then the chemical equation needs to be balanced. Okay, that balancing we will see in the next part. Okay, so basic rules are clear to you, so you have to note it down properly. Overall 7 to 8 points are there, you have to write it in proper form. Okay, and you have to remember it. The question will be there, write a convention followed while writing a chemical equation. Okay, so in that case you should be able to write the answer properly. Okay, so I hope today's lecture is very much clear to you. We have seen about chemical equation and writing a chemical equation. Okay, so I hope this part is clear to you. So in today's lecture I will stop here, and in next lecture we will meet with the next topic. Till then students, bye.